सर आपने सारे अपने डॉक्यूमेंट्स
आपकी कागजी कार्रवाई कर
ये इसके क्योंकि ये डॉक्यूमेंट सर कोविड टिकट पैसे सर ये डॉलर $3035 हैं सर जैसे मिले ऐसे आपकी अमानत की।
बहुत शुक्रिया जैदी साहब, अल्लाह ताला आपको खुश रखे। थैंक यू वेरी मच। थैंक यू सर।
لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك.
आपके साथ
रोशनी डाले तो
अभी हम लोग हल्की फ़्लाइट जो थी दमिश्क की थी और वो इसराइल का जो प्रॉब्लम हुआ उस वजह से हम लोग मूव हो गए हल में। और हमें PIA ने इस वक्त जो ट्रीट किया है, नो डाउट कि कुछ नहीं कह सकते इस बारे में। बहुत चीज़ें हैं जो नेगेटिव हैं, लेकिन इस वक्त जो ट्रीट किया गया है वो इस हिसाब से ट्रीट किया गया कि मैं ज़ाती तौर पे नहीं सोच सकता था कि इस तरह होगा। उन्होंने हमें रिफ़्रेशमेंट में, टिकटिंग में, प्रोटोकॉल में अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह थोड़ा नहीं बहुत ज़्यादा इन्होंने हमें इस वक्त वहाँ पे प्रोटोकॉल दिया और बड़ा अच्छा PIA ने हमें इस वक्त जो ट्रीट किया है।
ऑपरेशन बम थे, उन्होंने फौरी तौर पर इकदाम करके हमने अल्टरनेट जो है ना फ्लाइट थ्रू शारजा भेजी हल्ब में, और रात को हमें हल्ब में उन्होंने जो है ना पहुँचाया। सुबह हम उधर 12 बजे तकरीबन हल्ब एयरपोर्ट इंटरनेशनल एयरपोर्ट पर पहुँचे थे। वहाँ पे 4 बजे फ्लाइट आई हमें, और हमें तमाम ज़ालिम 77 ज़ालिम को PIA की फ़्लाइट पे वेलकम किया और आराम से खैर आफियत के साथ यहाँ हमें पहुँचाया। हम खुश हैं।
both times.
So everything except पूरे charging.
So what we have here are several components, not just the upset recovery. But the first item on this is upset recovery. We have two types of scenarios. We've got the recovery training scenarios for the maneuvers. And what we see here is basically a number of scenarios, each one with a target pitch and bank end.
Okay.
The way we envisage you using this functionality is actually to first decide whether you're going to conduct training with PFC in direct mode, or in normal mode, or secondary mode.
Okay.
So, although we don't recommend it, but typically it's better to conduct your training in direct mode.
Direct. Okay.
Because then you do not have flag or wire protections.
Right.
Okay? So once the control law is degraded,
Okay.
you want to select the scenario you're interested in.
Okay. Should we disconnect the PFCs?
Yeah, we'll do it. I'll put flag freeze on first.
Okay.
So there's no actual requirement to set flag freeze. You can make the selection that I'm about to show you, irrespective of that.
Okay,
It's
fine.
just- Right. So we'll set PFC to direct.
ठीक है, बंद कर दो.
So behind the scenes.
Autopilot disengage button, please. Autopilot.
So this is invoking a malfunction to degrade the flight controls.
All right.
We'll select a scenario, 40 degrees of pitch up and 60 degrees of bank.
Okay.
So I'll do that.
Can we do it with the flight freeze?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so selecting the scenario doesn't automatically invoke the scenario. You have another option to make, whether you want the scenario at the current altitude. If you just want the current altitude, you hit execute without making an altitude selection here.
All right. Got it.
Okay. On the other hand, if you want flight level 350 or 150 or 050, then you make button selection, then hit execute. For now, we'll just select to the current altitude.
Okay, fine.
And hit execute. The end diagram. That's pre-built into functionality. Simulator is getting set up at the moment. It's a reposition taking place. And you will see a message, like you see here, UPR deactivated.
Okay.
So as an instructor, you want to wait until you see a message saying ready for release. The motion is now fading in.
What happened?
कुछ नहीं ये बता कुछ नहीं हटाने का तो ऊपर
Right.
मैं एकदम पीछे की तरफ
On this page, we've got the positive and negative G limits
All right.
and the stall line.
All right.
Okay.
That's the stall line.
So VS1G.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
Right.
And you can also see the bar on the left-hand side. This is showing, well, two key things are showing you. The yellow bar is showing you the angle of attack where the aircraft would stall. And these chevrons here, these show you your current angle of attack. So it's showing us currently that we're not anywhere near stall.
True.
But obviously, depending on how we recover, we may approach stall. Okay. So we have ready for release. The scenario has set us up with a load factor of 1.2, so the wing is loaded. The idea is in this stage with these scenarios is that sitting here now with the flight freeze on, you would have a conversation with the trainee as an instructor,
Right.
and you would explain to them what technique they will use for recovery.
Okay.
Because there's no element of surprise involved
Right.
in these type of
So
scenarios.
basically, you are teaching them
Just teaching
in this scenario what you do with that. Okay.
That's right.
Right.
Okay. So what I will do is I will release from the scenario, and either of the two gentlemen can perform a recovery, and then what we'll see is some of the feedback available to the instructor as part of the process. Okay.
ऐसा? नदीम कौन करेगा?
पहले आपने recognize
Recognize किया आपने?
pitch up with the left back. कितना bank?
About 60 degrees.
60 degrees left bank and pitch up. 40 degrees. Okay, now what is the effectivity of the elevators? What is your speed at the moment? 250 knots. Okay. So, yeah, the first thing is elevators. If that is not working, then what? Maintain the bank until the time it comes back to the horizon. The pitch comes back to the horizon. And then you may also have to reduce thrust. Okay? To reduce the pitch up.
So we'll release you and try to do it that way. Okay?
Okay, ready for release?
Alright? Okay, ready for it.
Bank angle. Bank angle.
Now start.
That's right. So the green line is showing you, it's basically a mapping between, it's showing you your speed and load factor.
Mhm.
So right now, we're not close to the VS1G. We've remained throughout this exercise in positive G,
Absolutely.
haven't exceeded any limits,
Alright.
and so this is a very good recovery.
Okay, fine.
So we've seen other examples recently where, not today, but on a different day, that as part of recovery,
Mhm.
we ventured into the negative territory, negative G, which of
Right.
course we don't want. So that's the sort of feedback
Mhm.
available to you as an instructor. Okay. Well, what I will do is go back and show you some of the additional functionality available. So similar to envelope is a plot of alpha against beta.
Mhm.
So you may also be interested during the recovery process to look at this and see whether the trainee stayed within the green zone, for
So
example.
that's, with the degree.
That's right. I'll put flight freeze on to just explain a little bit more here.
Okay.
Just to be clear, what do these colours actually mean and what is their significance? What it means is that if you're within the green zone, that means you are in that part of the model, aerodynamics model at the moment, which has actually been validated, tested and validated in flight test.
Okay.
So the behavior you're getting in the simulator is exactly how the aircraft would behave.
Right.
If you're in the orange zone, it's not flight test data. So, however, it is wind tunnel data. So it's still quite reliable. But obviously, it's got secondary importance compared to flight test data. What you do not want is ever to be in the red zone because that is just made up data.
Okay.
You know, there is
Extrapolated.
completely extrapolated. That's right. So generally stay in green if you can. If you venture out into orange territory and if it's for brief periods, it's not a problem.
Cool.
You know, it's fine. If you're in a red area, then it's really invalid. So that's similar to envelope, and we looked at the aircraft limits, which is the VG diagram. Then you've got the flight controls page. What you have here is basically replication of the controls.
Okay.
So if we pull the column, you would see column moving.
All right.
Right, and then the forces being applied to the column, and pedal. And the other controls are also shown here.
Same way.
Just a replicated ISFD, just to make it easier for the instructor. If it's harder to look at the ISFD
So you
from
can
far
have a
away,
look here and you
look
see.
at here.
Okay. Right.
Then there are some time history plots. This is what we call time history plots. So when you start a maneuver or a scenario, the plots refresh automatically. They start from 0 and up to 90 seconds of plotting.
Right.
You can look at any of these plots. If you hit them, they expand. They don't give you new information, but they group the existing information in different combinations.
Okay.
So the first one, you can see that controls ISFD is combined with the VG diagram. Right, so see more information, but obviously it's concentrated on the page. Similarly, limits and time history, and you can expand here as well.
All right.
Back, load factor and airspeed, same idea. Right, so far we've demonstrated the recovery training, not involving any element of surprise. Next, I suggest that we get ourselves into straight and level, and we'll demonstrate the prevention training.
Prevention.
Okay.
Yeah. We go back to 10,000.
It's by no means like a fighter jet or anything like that. It's still gentle banking or pitching, but it acts like a rate input. So once we select bank left scenario, for example, the aircraft starts banking to one side, to the left. Okay, approximately 6 degrees per second. So the idea really is that as the aircraft is banking, do the crews actually recognize that the aircraft is actually getting itself
Deviating
into an
from
upset
from the
state?
Right.
How long do they take to actually respond to the situation?
Right.
You know, so these are the sort of parameters that you'd be interested in. One thing to note is that there is no set attitude target.
ठीक है. Recovery करो. अच्छा ये this is starter effect.
Yeah.
ठीक है. So you have to give your input, right? Come back to your clearances.
So one thing that can make the starting effect more challenging, of course, is, for example, if the starting airspeed was relatively lower. So, for example, rather than 250, if we were at, let's say, 230 or 220, then a pitch-up scenario can potentially get you into a stall territory, and that could be one possible way of training. Can we try going to a lower airspeed?
Yeah, why not? Speed 220 knots or 210. बल्कि up पे रखो, थोड़ा सा ऊपर. That's what
yeah.
I was talking about. You know, if you want to pitch up,
Absolutely.
that'll go into a stop.
And the other thing is that we're currently in normal mode, so you have fly-by-wire protections. So what would be interesting is we do the same thing. We do pitch up.
Okay. Go ahead.
So you slightly went to.
So you can see we went into the stall territory.
Sorry.
Bank angle. Bank angle.
At any time, if you want to remove clutter on screen from a previous scenario, you can do clear plus.
Okay.
So it plays up. What you have on the side is the same options and buttons as on the main UPIT page. So icing is a new page.
Okay.
And what we need to do here basically is what we're doing here basically is we are demonstrating two types of icing: engine and airframe icing. The engine icing is going to be probably the main change that you will notice. What we do is we put the icing on and allow icing to build on fan. In particular, there is also cowl icing, but the fan is perhaps more interesting. As long as your engine N1 is less than 70%, we keep accumulating ice. You will see N1 vid levels build up, and once you get to the advisory level, around about 3 on the N1 vid level, you'll actually start feeling motion effect. It's a constant vibration because of the ice build up on top. So right now we're at 10,000 feet. Okay? So the middle layer starts from 10,000 feet. So we'll select, let's go with severe, because that's the most useful one. So severe icing. Now, that's just selected what you want to do. That does not automatically put icing. I'd like you to pay attention to this message here all the time, because that's telling you if icing is active, and if it's not, why is it not active?
There's no clouds here.
So right now, we've gone below 10,000 feet, so we'll enable low surface icing as well. Okay. So it says we're not in cloud or low visibility.
All right.
So I'd say cloud type, or we set overcast.
All right.
Okay. And then cloud base and top. Look at the values in there, and
that has to be above that level.
we have to be within. Yes, we have to be within the cloud. So if I set cloud top to 20,000 feet, because then that ensures the aircraft is in cloud.
Now it's active, yeah.
So now it says icing active. Okay, and you can see that both fan and cloud icing is building up. Okay, so let's allow fan ice to build up to a high level. Okay.
Yeah. 70%.
Above. Plus 70. 72, 73.
You see ice is shedding now.
Shedding, yeah. Yeah, smooth now.
Yeah, and with vibrations back.
Vibration's not there anymore.
So then,
It's very realistic.
Very
Yeah.
realistic, yeah.
so we also have the cowl ice level. So in severe icing, the ND ice is not strong enough to remove all cowl icing. And if it builds up to 100%, you will see there's a little bit of a judder you feel from motion. That's to simulate the ice chunk going into the engine from the fan. From the cowl. The status of the anti-ice switches is shown here as well. So you've got wing anti-ice is on and engine anti-ice is on. So if they were to change the switches to a different position, that would be reflected here. Okay. So that's icing. If you want to remove icing at any time, icing resets.
Okay.
If we hit that, that's cleared icing. I mean, it doesn't clear your other selections like cloud, etc. You would have to
That
do
stays there.
manually. Yeah. So you can set that off back to normal. Okay.
Right.
One other point I would like to make about icing is that because we also have the airframe icing, so as long as your airframe, as long as your wing anti-ice switch is off and you're actually building ice on the airframe, your aerodynamics are modified. So the most noticeable is if you try to do a stall, your angle of attack and airspeed at which you're going to stall is going to be modified because of icing. So go to master index UPRT again. So we come on icing. So two other things we've got here. Now these bounce landing and FAA gust, these are not EASA components. FAA requires them. And this simulator is qualified to EASA requirements.
Okay.
However, even though these are non-qualified tasks, we've included them on the simulator. Bounce landing is what we will cover next. First of all, we'll get rid of the PFCS disconnect. We'll go back to normal mode.
Autopilot engage, please.
If you continue with the stall in this
And auto throttle on.
So,
Yep. Alright. Now you can activate if you want.
so master index UPRT. So just select mouse landing and start.
Right. Stabilizer.
We want to give everybody a warning that the motion effect will be a bit strong, so they need to hold on to something.
थोड़ा सा पकड़ के रखना है, ठीक है? Bounce होगा और फिर जाएगा. The stabilizer fault is coming on.
Do we want a master reset? Should we flat phase on and do a master reset?
Please do that.
Yes.
One hundred. 50. 40. Approaching minimums.
तो हो गया ना, क्या go around कर रहा है? Touchdown कर गए अभी. Touchdown देने के बाद तो पैदा है.
Would you like to try another, or should we try FA gust?
FA gust, yeah. FA gust. You want to try and take off?
Yeah.
Okay. Take off. Set for takeoff, please.
So the FA gust profile. FA gust profile. So this is selection. Now this is based on real flight recorder data from a 737 crash, and published by the FAA. So we say here really just to make it clear that minimum 25 knots of crosswind from left or right. That's a steady crosswind.
Okay.
And then the gust component.
All right.
Okay. So now the FA gust is active.
So it's a wind from the left,
Yeah.
25 knots, and you will experience a gust as well. ठीक है? ऐसे? You're okay with it? All right.
One hundred. 50. 40. 30. 20. Approaching minimums.
The thing to notice that this is only removing the gust component.
Not the wind.
It's not the wind.
Okay.
So if you remove the wind, then actually do that separately. Okay. So that's everything on here. One other thing which I'd like to say, iOS, but it's a significant change in aerodynamics. So as part of the UPRT update, we've implemented enhanced stall model. So previously, if you attempted to stall the 777, you were only really had accurate modeling up to approach to stall. So now the simulator is qualified to full stall.
Okay.
So it's stall and plus
You're
10
actually
degrees
stall.
beyond that.
All right.
Okay, so that's enhancement of the aerodynamic model, so you have that degree of accuracy. The other thing in the same area is that there was previously never the roll-off effect.
Ears up, flaps up. This UPR.
Reference code.
इसको PLI पे should keep pulling. Pull करते हैं. Alright. So that's okay.
So that was the roll-off effect.
Alright.
Alright.
That's what. More realistic. Right.
Aircraft limits displayed. And you wanted to print it, just hard copy as before.
Where is you connected?
Yeah, to the printer downstairs.
Alright.
Also, okay, this is a known defect at the moment, but it's getting fixed. So you've got the help page. So you can go to any UPRT page, for example, in the master index, hit help, and what it's supposed to do is actually display. Okay, well, this is the index page there. This is what it's going to look like. So the index page does work. So it's going to give you some information about the topic.
So whatever we discussed is here as well.
Is here as well.
Alright.
Okay. And obviously you can navigate as normal. You go through it. You get your information.
Excellent. Thanks.
The other pages, so for example, in similar to onload, we've still got the same menu help page there. However, this is a known defect at the moment. I believe it doesn't work at the moment. So that's work in progress. So you'll have all of these.
Alright. Thanks.
Okay.
उसको करके ना we'll give you the ground electrics and you can start